Welcome back, y'all. Thanks for tuning back in. Today we're going to be talking about James Harden and who even wants him on their team. Obviously, we heard that he's going to end up opting into his player option so that they can work out a trade between the 76ers and some other team, hopefully of his destination. There was a lot of news about the Rockets, but obviously that would end up stunting Jalen Green's growth. And ironically enough, Jalen Green did end up on Paul George's podcast, and Paul George told him that it would end up stunning his growth and making him back up as a playmaker and as a leader on that team because of what Harden does as a ball dominant playmaker and just a scorer. The next team to emerge in the sweepstakes for James Harden was the Clippers. So, surprising, isn't it? Now, the issue with that is the Clippers really have nothing to offer because Paul George would not be part of that trade. Kawhi wouldn't be part of that trade. And the next two pieces they have is really Terrence Mann and Norman Powell, which if you're the Sixers and you're Daryl Morey, that's not very enticing for James Harden, considering you just gave up Ben Simmons, who had his ups and downs with your team, to get a prolific scorer in James Harden, who, while he isn't the same person that he was in Houston when Daryl Morey had him, he shot a career high 38.5% from behind the three-point line, and he led the league in assists. So he wasn't a scrub last season. He was definitely in tip-top shape in the regular season. Now in the postseason, he did struggle mightily. As we know, James Harden does not have a championship. He doesn't come with championship pedigree, but he is a superstar level player. He can lead your team to win games because of his offensive bag that he does produce. The issue for the Clippers is that the Miami Heat and the Knicks, while the Heat are more so interested in getting Damian Lillard, a team like the Knicks or the Heat both have more pieces to offer than Terrence Mann and Norman Powell. Now, that's not to say those two are terrible players, because they're not. They're quality players, but that just speaks to volumes to how great the value of James Harden when he's on the floor and focused on the game of basketball can be. If I'm Daryl Morey, it puts me in between a rock and a hard place, because we brought him in here to push us to that next level, and he doesn't want to go to that next level with us because of how we handled free agency. Now, the official story regarding why he requested the trade is because Harden wanted to get a long-term deal, and the Sixers just weren't willing to give it to him. The thing about Daryl Morey is he's all about cap flexibility, and especially with the new CBA rules in place, he's trying to make sure that he can keep and stay true to his motto and the mantras that he holds dear. The issue is that upsets people like Harden. And when Harden wanted a long-term deal and wasn't going to get the long-term deal, he said, send me somewhere else. He did opt into the player option, so there's not a terrible amount of love lost, right? Because he really could have just walked for nothing. But seeing as Daryl Morey has to find a way to really get something out of it, and James Harden himself has expressed that the Clippers are his preferred destination now, you have to find something to work. Maybe there's a third team that you could work in there. But as it stands, the Clippers were at one point considering trading Paul George. But if Harden wants to join them and Kawhi and Paul George are both on board with it, then having a big three, including James Harden, in that mix makes it very tantalizing, and you don't want to give up too much to get it, especially when you know that James Harden does not want to come back for the Sixers. Do I think the relationship between them is completely tarnished? I wouldn't say that, but I would say that it is unlikely that we're going to see Harden inside of a Sixers uniform come the beginning of next season. Harden has been unpredictable in the past. He's similar to Kyrie Irving in that regard. But for Harden, when he gets unhappy with a team, he lets it show. There was the whole fat suit scandal, trying to gain weight so that he could get out of Houston. Then he went to the Nets, and he really didn't like the fit at the Nets, so he forced his way to the Sixers. And now in the Sixers, he didn't like that they didn't want to give him a long-term deal, and now he's going to try and go to the Clippers. If they can manage to make this work, and the Clippers end up getting James Harden but don't end up either making the conference finals or making the finals and making significant runs over the next couple seasons, whether it be due to the availability of their stars, because we have seen a lot of issues as far as Kawhi goes, really anything is possible going forward. But if I'm the Clippers and I do manage to pull this trade off, I have to win, or else it's going to be a really bad look for a team that's always been considered the Lakers' younger brother, especially if come next season in head-to-head matchups and potentially in the postseason if those teams happen to meet, and the Clippers do not win that matchup despite getting James Harden. And also that harms James Harden's legacy. But with that being said, guys, good morning, good evening, and good night. No matter where in the world you're watching, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.